الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب وأحلم له أجر له إواجه أحمده سبحانه وتعالى وأشكره وهو أهل حمد وثناء وأشهد أن لا إله إلا وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله ومصطفى اللهم صل وسلم على عبدك ورسولك محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم. Alhamdulillah bil alamin. We thank Allah Almighty for every opportunity and to know more about Allah Almighty's will in our lives. And as we learn more about Allah Almighty's will in our lives, we begin to take on that will. And to be in Allah's will, to be as Allah likes, is to use our intelligence as Allah Almighty likes us to use it. And that brings us to functioning and living our purpose. When Allah sent all the prophets, may Allah be pleased with them, it is because the people had no respect. When you respect your Lord, Allah Almighty will respect you. You never have to tell people to respect you. Allah Almighty will make people to respect you. That's because when you're respecting your Lord's will, your Lord's message that's been sent through all of the prophets, Allah Almighty gives you the ability of attraction. Then Allah Almighty sends people to you. And you don't necessarily have to judge them, even though Allah Almighty's vicegerents, Allah Almighty's servants, those that He raised to be His caliphs, He gives them the ability to judge between right and wrong. And so when they actually produce, or when they give the message to people, they give it in wisdom and beautiful preachings. They're able to give it to us in a way that inspires us to do good and to forbid evil. Even though they can see us, they are aware, Allah Almighty's vicegerents must be able to see us in order to guide us. And that's why it's important that when we raise our families, that we make sure that our children are being guided. There's nothing worse than a child that has not been guided. Allah Almighty does not leave it to our own will. Free will is that we enjoin good or forbid evil. Free will is that we become obedient or disobedient. That's what the free will is. Free will is not doing what you want to do. Allah Almighty, when He created Luqman, people say that Luqman was a wise man. Some people say he was a prophet. Some people say he was a prophet and a wise man. But if he's a prophet, he's wise. And if he's wise, he's on the way of prophets. Someone was asking him, someone in authority at that time, one of the people in authority at that time was asking him, because they knew of him, he was an Ethiopian slave. And they wanted to know how he had reached such high prominence, so much respect from the people of that time. Even Prophet Dawood, who was a king at that time, used to consult him for advice. And everybody wanted to know, how have you reached such a high station? So he wanted to get to know him, so he was asking Luqman if he could slaughter a she-camel and bring him the best parts of the meat. And so Luqman brought him the tongue and the heart. And he said to him, and the king ate, not the king, but one of the wise people in that time was saying, wow, this is one of the best tasting parts of that she-camel. So he said, bring me the worst parts of the she-camel. Slaughter another one and bring me the worst parts of that meat. He brought him the tongue and the heart. And he said, what is this? He said, you brought me the tongue and the heart, and you said this was the best part. You brought me the tongue and the heart, and you say this is the worst part. He said, depends on how you're using it. If you're using your tongue and your heart as a means of guiding, as a means of training yourself to do what Allah Almighty likes you to do, to be on the way of your Lord. Because Allah Almighty destroyed nations of people that were disobedient. He didn't leave it to their will. He said, this is the way. You're either going to follow this way and be obedient, or you're going to follow that way and be disobedient. So those who followed the way of their Lord through obedience, their tongue and their hearts were blessings for them. And Allah Almighty sent through them guidance. And Allah Almighty made them respectable people, and He raised their stations, and He sent people to them. And even Luqman grew up as a child, and his father used to say to him, what are you going to worship after me? He said, I'm going to worship only my Lord, Allah Almighty. So we must start the discipline of our children. If we don't discipline them as children, they have no hope. How can they grow up thinking that they're going to do what they want to do if they're not guided? We are responsible for that. It means if we're not guiding our children, that means that we're acting righteous in front of people, but we're acting like devils when we're not in front of people. If we're leaving our children to do as they like, this is why the society is like it is. People have left their children to do as they want them to do, as they like, choosing what they want to do. They have no ability to choose right from wrong unless we're guiding them. Give them the opportunity to reject or rebel, but you must train them to teach them what is right from wrong. And when you have a child, and that child, like Luqman was taught from a child. We have to start to discipline our children when they are children. If you are disciplined as a child, you grow up and you give benefit to people. The society now is full of undisciplined people because they were undisciplined children. Their parents didn't discipline them. Their parents were not guided, so they didn't guide their children. And so now we have a society where the children have no respect for themselves or no one else. And they don't have any fear of their death because they feel that once they finish, they finish. There's no more misery for them. When the tongue is used in a bad way, the heart is used in a bad way, there's misery in our lives. There's disrespect in our lives. There's not prosperity in our lives. There's no happiness. There's no peace. There's no tranquility. There's no nearness to Allah Almighty in our lives. So we don't care to guide people. Because everywhere we turn, we're not respected wherever we are. And we always falsifying and playing in front of people that we are righteous people. But yet deep down inside, we're like devils, and that's why we have no respect from people. Learn the lesson of Luqman from a child his parents taught him well. And he grew up and he gave benefit. He was the advisor for the king. Who was a prophet of Allah Almighty, yet he was the advisor to a prophet. From a little child like this, raised on the guidance, who will you worship after me? We have to do that to our children. Why would you just think that you are guided and your children left not to be guided? We are Muslims, so we have to begin to program our children as Muslims.